Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to today's showcase match, featuring the forces of Order taking on the duplicitous hordes of Tzeentch, who have rode down from the frozen north to enact their foul schemes on the land of Kislev. My headcanon for this battle is the Changeling, currently under the form of Tzeentch the Watcher, is going to be trying to take out the Tsarina, so he can assume her form, infiltrate the lands of Kislev, and create a realm of chaos. Very scary stuff indeed, but Kislev does not stand alone. They have sent a call to the north and the south and the east as well for allies, and the call has been answered. So it is going to be the Tsarina Katarine leading the forces here from her mighty Frostworm, which of course is a new unit here in the update. Very powerful combat monster, which makes her very durable and good for long fights, and it also looks incredibly cool. The Norse dwarves have also answered the call, and they are going to be led by Grombrindle, the White Dwarf. The Norse dwarves, of course, understood how serious of a threat this was to the old world, so Grombrindle has arisen from wherever he dwells and has come to help the Norse dwarves. And, you know, what old world story would be complete without Gotrek and Felix? And if you guys have read the books, Gotrek and Felix do appear at the Siege of Prague, and they certainly have a lot of interactions with Kislev as well. So Gotrek and Felix will be assisting Grombrindle's forces in combat. The Thematic has also arrived. The clarion call has been sounded, and the knights and peasants of Bretonnia have answered the call. So the Thematic is going to be leading a massive horde of peasants. Washed and unwashed. We got some battle pilgrims here, basic men-at-arms, and the Hippogriff Knights have flown over the Great Mountains here to assist in battle. And last but certainly not least, it is going to be the forces of Grand Cathay. We, of course, know there is quite a rivalry. Well, I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but perhaps hatred or conflict between Tzeentch and Grand Cathay. Tzeentch always trying to enact its schemes, especially with the village and Grand Cathay here. So Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon, has arrived, and she has brought Tzeentch the Watcher, who is going to be able to keep his eyes on those tricksy forces of Tzeentch, revealing all their hidden tricks and traps, which you'll be seeing in just a moment. The forces of Tzeentch, all of their scary heroes are here to bear. We do have the Changeling currently assuming the form of Tzeentch the Watcher. Kairos Fate Weaver is going to be leading from the back, of course, whereas I'm sure he likes to lead back there, scheming, shooting magic missiles, and seeing the past and the future, but not the present. So he certainly is going to have to figure this one out. We do also have Village the Curseling and a new Chaos Lord of Tzeentch. A lot of the new update units are going to be featured. We have the Chaos Lord of Tzeentch, a powerful anti-large fighter. We have the Centaurs of Tzeentch, which are going to be on the far side of the formation, looking to collapse on the Kislev flank, which is going to be defended by the new and improved Griffin Legion. So the new Kislev Cavalry, I should mention, do have the Glorious Charge, which means that their charge bonus is doubled when they charge, and they also hurt the leadership even more of a unit as if they were flanking. So some very good defenses, but like I said, Tzeentch is going to be bringing its new Centaurs. 3 of the blue scribes, so 3 of the Tzeentch players wanted to get really crazy, so you'll be seeing Skaven magic, Vampire Coast magic, all sorts of nut stuff, because there are 3 blue scribes on the Tzeentchian army, so that's quite a bit of fun. And speaking of, rolling the dice, we do have the Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, one of my favorite units in the update. This bad boy does have the Book of Buna, as I like to call it, because you're basically just hoping to get Fate of Buna every time. But every time he uses this, which is up to 3 charges, it's going to be imbuing Fire Weakness, Enfeebling Foe, or a Fate of Buna. So you roll the dice, it's random every time, which is hilarious. So we have the new Chaos Lord, we have the Exalted Lord of Tzeentch. We do also have the Changebringers, which are going to be on the far flank. These things are one of the most devastating units in the game, where I think they're a little bit further back. We'll find them. They're lurking around the battlefield somewhere, but the Changebringers are just an absolutely devastating unit. They, of course, yes, here they are, very, very sneaky. They were on the ground, that's why I didn't see them. So they just do massive damage, and they have all the big weakness of Flamers in general was the fact that they couldn't get a good angle to shoot, but these things float overhead, and they just do disgusting damage. So if we can't take these down, they could easily collapse our western flank. I love that they have Tzeentch. And by the way, check this out. So there is double Tzeentch, right? And you see this eye going over the entire army of Tzeentch here. That means that our Cathay player, Professor Pone, used Tzeentch to reveal. So we see everything in the trees. We see all the ambushes. Grand Cathay has brought its kind of mystical powers here to certainly help the Order Tide. Very, very good stuff indeed. So we see the entire army, but the most hilarious part is that Tzeentch, aka the Changeling, is going to be doing the exact same thing, which reveals my ambushes in the trees. Absolutely hilarious. So without further ado, let's waste no more time and see if the Order Tide is going to be able to fend off the forces here of the Changer, or if Kislev will fall into ruin, disarray, and, we don't want any of that. So the battle is now on. Severed Claw going to be leading the forces of Tzeentch up the middle with the Chaos Warriors and also Aeson the Fallen. So this guy is a pretty powerful fighter. It, of course, is going to be a standard Mutolith beast, but a little bit stronger. It does now have its Mortis Engine effect that its cousin has, as well as some nice AoE abilities. And look at that. So Tzeentch the Watcher of Tzeentch, trying its best to crash my computer, reveals my entire army as well, or our Order Tide Alliance. And you can see the Griffin Legion is going to be revealed in the tree. Very, very ridiculous stuff for sure. And also, on top of that, the Blue Scribe's going to be dropping a Skaven spell. So they did roll the Skaven spell. And the Horned Rat going to be lending a little bit of help to his evil homies here, as the Iron Drakes are going to be taken by the Skaven Plague, and that will be doing some big work. So on the western flank, the Tsarina going to be anchoring down the position here with the Hippogriff Knights of Bretonnia. So we have the Griffin Legion, as well as the new Kislevites Warriors, who are here with their halberds in the front line. So the Kislevites Warriors stand at the ready, stalwart, high melee defense, very, very good at throwing into cavalry and mobility, while the Tzeentchian Centaurs, a new unit on the roster as well, they, of course, are really quick. They have perfect vigor, very much like a Centaur with great weapons, but they have a bonus 800 HP of shields and also do magic damage and have the Arcane Charge, which is very powerful. When this is in full effect, and it pretty much goes off instantly with Tzeentch, when you cast spells, your entire army, not your entire army, but your entire Centaur unit is going to be getting a combat buff, and they can go over 40 weapon strength, which is pretty nuts. But nonetheless, I'm forced to retreat my Griffin Legion due to the duplicitous schemes of Tzeentch the Changeling. And now the Tsarina Katarine is going to be trying to intercept the Zangor flank. Zangor's coming in under the hail of gunfire, but the I also forgot to mention the Golden Knight is here. So we have Narskia, and she's going to be fighting with Katarine, the Tsarina, trying to defend the flank, while the other central engagement is going to be anchored down by the dwarves, and big damage coming down from the Tsarina, who is also going to be using a Heart of Winter here in a moment. Now, in the center, the dwarves and the Bretonnians have taken the brunt of the charge. The mighty Bretonnians, they're doing their thing. The dwarves sent the Bretonnians in first, let them kind of soften up the Chaos Warriors, and now the mighty Longbeards of the Dwarven, of the Norse dwarves, do engage against Aeson the Fallen, but thankfully the dwarves did come with a lot of firepower. Hadres, our Dwarven Lord, has brought 2 organ guns to the fight, both of which are doing big damage. Iron Drake's also going to be shooting in, and Aeson is going to be falling back into the warp. The dwarves celebrate a victorious center engagement. Meanwhile, Gotrek and Felix, you can see Felix Jaeger here with his trademark blue and white striped pants and his red cape, fighting shoulder to shoulder with Grombrindle, but the tides of heretics are certainly endless as they move in, get into the secondary line, and you can see the peasant bowmen are going to be under heavy pressure. On the flank of Grand Cathay, Tzeentch the Watcher and the Storm Dragon prepare for battle. Tzeentch and the Cathay Grand Cannon shooting into the Lord of Change, and he has been doing some good damage. Tzeentch is an excellent anti-large sniper, and here he comes with the jump shot, baby, from downtown, from the three-point line, and the Lord of Change there is going to be taking big damage. You can see it's starting to crumble, and that is going to be a big, big victory here for the Forces of Order, taking down a Greater Demon of Tzeentch. Also, we do have the Moonbird, the Great Moonbird. The Cathay Phoenix going to be attempting a bombardment here, but it overshoots its target a little bit. You have to time it a little bit, and it does miss its bombardment, but it does kind of tickle the pickle here of these pinks. Over here on this flank, Grand Cathay seems to be holding very, very well. Their Iron Hill Gunners ripping shots into any heretics, but the Bretonnians are really the ones who are eating the brunt of the damage. In the front line, the Bretonnians and dwarves being afflicted by the foul magic of Village the Curseling, who's going to be engaging in battle with Miao Ying. So we have the Storm Dragon versus the Twisted Twin here. And the Twisted Twin is a very good fighter, but the Storm Dragon is literally a dragon in human form. So she's going to be able to put up a very, very good situation in that fight. In the middle flank, the dwarves are being pushed very heavily. We see Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, being overwhelmed, but, he is basically, he stands alone, but he has no problem with that. He's very beat up, but Grombrindle has no fear. The entire dwarf army is going to be unbreakable as he takes on the Tzeentchian Lord on disc. The heroes of the old world valiantly fighting here, but being pushed very, very heavily. Will the dwarves be able to hold the center? We will have to see. Felix Jaeger is nearby. He's going to be providing some healing as well. And Tzeentch has broken through. The organ guns are exposed here. But guys, a very intense situation. We did have the Changebringers come over here, almost overwhelmed the flank, but the Dwarven organ guns got in position, ripped some massive shots, and melted down the Changebringers. They lined them up like absolute bowling pins and saved the Tsarina's life, with 2 Changebringers shooting at the Tsarina while she was afflicted by the Ash Storm, which makes her weak to fire. That would have melted that ice very, very quickly. And the Tsarina and the Golden Knight, Nyarska Lesa here, her mighty Guardian, fighting back the Tzeentchian pressure here on the flank. The Shrieking Skyrays being overwhelmed as Tzeentch uses a foul burning head down the formation of Kislevites Warriors. Kislevites Warriors are pretty decent armor-piercing fighters, though they would lose 1-to-1 against Zangors, most likely because of their light armor. They still are able to remain stalwart and do defeat the Zangors with a little bit of support from the Tsarina. Now, back in the middle of the battlefield, we do see Kairos Fateweaver realizing the threat of the organ guns, and Kairos Fateweaver is going to be moving in while the Great Moonbird of Grand Cathay a very, very good anti-demon unit, I dare say. This thing has 500 weapon strength and also does magic damage, is going to be trying to take down Kairos. But Kairos does not stand alone as well. He does have his cockatrice here. The cockatrice doing good damage against the artillery crew, and it has a new Petrifying Gaze ability, which actually can lock things in place over the course of a long combat. And the barbarians are at the gates. They have gotten through, and the organ gun is soon going to be compromised. But the dwarven organ gun did huge damage against the Changebringers. Easily got about 3k value right there. And Kairos, unfortunately, though, continuing to cause havoc. And how is he doing against the Moonbird? It seems like the Moonbird, a far superior combatant, is hanging in there, doing well. But the Tsarina has heard the call from the Norse dwarves and is going to be answering on her mighty beast. So we do see the Tsarina rolling in on her huge Frostworm, looking to do battle with the Changer's finest. So Kairos, of course, not, the biggest combat character. He's not going to want to stay in this situation. Also, Tzeentch the Watcher of Grand Cathay, the real one, is shooting from downtown and providing a little bit of fire support here. You can see he's currently slightly obstructed by my units, but has been shooting into Kairos, doing great work, while the Moondragon has stabilized the Kislev frontier on the east. We see the Jade Warriors holding back the Chaos Warriors. Iron Hail Gunners, unfortunately, do get compromised by some of the Centaurs of Tzeentch. So Tzeentch's new mobility playing a big role here in this battle, as the Iron Hail Gunners are going to be taken down, backed up here by a Cockatrice, which does have the Petrifying Gaze, can certainly snare these things in position. And Cathay calling for aid from their allies, and the Kislevite Warriors going to be surging in to help against the onslaught of the Chaos Warriors, while the Watcher sits in the shadows. Not really the shadows, more in the kind of cinematic backdrop here, and continues to rip shots at whatever he can. And it looks like the Cockatrice is going to be going in, maybe to use its armor piercing against Tzeentch the Watcher, but Tzeentch is backed up by Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon, an insanely powerful fighter that does magic damage, so that Cockatrice is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Now back on the other side of the battlefield, the Tsarina Katarine was able to banish ye old Kairos back to the Shadow Realm. He escaped with a little bit of HP, but now the Tsarina is going to be coming in, realizing there's a big threat in the backfield, which could turn the tide of the battle. Currently, the battle probably looking better for the Order Tide. We have 2 units of basically full health Chaos Warriors coming in to shut down the Dwarven artillery position, which if we lose these organ guns, which have just been thundering into targets the entire game, we're going to be in big trouble. So here they come. We have the Tsarina as well as the Patriarch and the Golden Knight riding shoulder to shoulder. Will they be able to take on the Chaos Warriors? Most likely so. The Frostworm, very scary, but they are going to be summoning the power of Ursun, and there is going to be a Heart of Winter going down, which is going to be hitting all these Chaos Warriors, freezing them to the very bone. Also helps banish some of the Blue Horrors here who are caught in the magic, and the Mighty Dwarves also able to rout off these Angors as well, and they are going to be surging forth these Slayers as well as the Longbeards, preparing to meet the Tzeentch onslaught head on. And these Slayers, of course, looking to fulfill that sweet oath. But the Chaos Warriors do get routed by the Tsarina Katarine in the backfield. Meanwhile, the Changeling, seeing how the battle is going, certainly a little bit nervous back here. He does have his big missile shots, trying to snipe Grombrindle. Not a bad idea. Grombrindle is very low. The Chaos Lord of Tzeentch, who's been doing very well, mind you, and he did also rout off the Fey Enchantress a little bit earlier in the game. The Fey Enchantress was sent away. He's done very good. 1800 value on his disc, is going to be looking for an opportunity to get a good pick here in this game, despite being very beat up. But the Hippogriff Knights are hot on his tail. They are going to be getting a regrowth from the rallying Fey Enchantress, and the Great Moonbird is also going to be an excellent hunter against a slow held target. So will the Chaos Lord endure? The Moonbird, and Lord, I suppose, comes in. Big attack. Chaos Lord is going to be wavering and is most likely going to be breaking here, potentially going down. He does use Change or Die, which is very cool, and Colossal Strike, which makes him ITP. But at the end of the day, he is probably going to be meeting his end. Now, Bretonnia has rallied over here on the eastern flank, and the forces of Grand Cathay have stabilized. Much of the artillery is offline, however, but Tzeentch the Watcher trying his best to finish off the big scary Lord. Kairos Fateweaver getting popped. No, he dodges the shot. Very well played. The Dwarves are resurgent in the secondary as the Tsarina Katarine sees the threat of the Blazing Squealers and the Pink Horrors, knowing that that's a lot of the shooting power left in the Tzeentchian army. The Frostworm is going to be moving in with the Golden Knight, trying to take it down. However, we do see some big damage going into the Tsarina, coming in from the Changeling, a.k.a. Tzeentch the Watcher, who's done great work. 2400 value has just about paid for itself, even with the tax from the Changeling that you're paying to turn into units. But Kairos Fateweaver, is he still alive? Is he around the battlefield? It looks like he was just shot down. So Kairos Fateweaver picked off with Tzeentch the Watcher. That was some disgusting damage right there as he picks her off. And now Tzeentch is going to be switching his targets onto the Blue Scribes. The Blue Scribes, there were 3 of them, but now there's only 1 left. Tsarina Katarine getting healed by the Salak's Lullaby, so the Patriarch is certainly doing his duty. While Grombrindle, who looked like he was on death's bed earlier, has teamed up once again with the heroes of the old world, Gotrek and Felix, pushing back the Tzeentchian forces. A very atrocious Pyrrhic victory at best here for the dwarves in the center, but the resilience of the Dowie is certainly known across the realm, and it has done a great service, helping hold back the tides of chaos here. Now Tsarina Katarine going to be setting her sights on the Changeling here in the backfield, who's been doing disgusting damage in the form. Wow, look at that. Sundered armor, big hit. The Golden Knight not going to be abiding any threats to the Tsarina. Up in the sky, the Blue Scribe is going to be crumbling down, while the Golden Knight Nyarska going to be popping Ursun's Claw, which will actually freeze the Changeling in place. Now the Changeling is going to be attacked by the Tsarina, and the Foul Imposter is going to be sent back to the Frozen North, or the Warp. I suppose he's a demon, right? So probably going to be sent back to the Warp, as the Changeling is the last thing on the battlefield. The forces of Grand Cathay have anchored it down here. Village the Curseling being chased off here by the not Tsarina Katarine, by the Moondragon. So you can see here that Miao Ying certainly did very well on this flank. Village the Curseling was quite good, I would imagine. 3,000 value on Village, but it was not enough to carry the forces of Tzeentch. GG, well played. What a fun match that was. And man, 4v4 is so cool. Like these big thematic battles. That was some of the most fun I've had playing Total War in months, honestly. And, you know, CA, give us servers, please. So we can do this. The only issue is lag. But we met up. We got 8 players in our Discord. So we had myself on Kislev. And, man, our Bretonnian player, he was a beast. He, hands down, I think him and Hadries, I think had the most value in terms of damage on our team. Those Hippogriff Knights were just absolutely terrorizing the flanks and supporting. And also the organ guns were brutal. But we had NC Skaven, Greatest Best, yes, yes. Hadries on Crackerjack, Professor Pone on Grand Cathay, Leechlord, one of our top tournament players in Dom, playing the All-Seeing Eye in Village. And no surprise that he got 2,900 value on Village. Absolutely crazy. We had Thundag here, who, of course, did have, I believe, Kairos. Kairos was kind of on the run this game. He got hunted. And this poor gentleman, when he got his Changebringers, 3,000 gold of his army, bowling pinned by those 2 organ guns. Oh, my God. That was just pure punishment. That was absolute punishment. So that certainly helped us secure the western flank. Outer region, of course, one of our top, I believe he's like top 3 in the world in domination as well. Very good land battle player too, but he just went hard in the paint with the Changeling. So he had his caster via the Cultist here, but the Changeling was able to do some good work. I mean, it paid for itself, and he was a big threat. I mean, he almost took down the Tsarina at the endgame there, which was pretty cool. And then we had DJ here, DJ Kiwi, who we'll call him for now, who had the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord did good. He routed off the... He managed to rout off the Bretonnian Lord, the Fey Enchantress, at several points during the battle, and he did great. Unfortunately for him, his big centerpiece got cannonballed pretty hard, and I would have to say the Tzeentchian team definitely memed harder than us. They brought 3 variants of the Changeling, which is absolutely wild. For our army, we'll look at value as well. Tsarina did good, 2,000. Narska was mainly a support piece. Little Grom was able to get 2k value shooting at some of the big beasties, but the Bretonnians, man, 1,900, 1,600 there, not bad at all. They provided us a lot of meat, and also a lot of DACA coming in from the Peasant Bowman was quite helpful. Hadries and his organ guns were big carries, 2,400, as well as 1,600 here. Grombrindle was an absolute raid boss with his hero squad, which is so fun to see those characters in action. And for Professor Pone, the Moondragon was in more of a supporting role, but still was able to heal up the big threats, right? And man, look at the big man, Tzeentch the Watcher with 3,300. And here we got the Moonbird. Didn't quite do as much as we thought it would, but it was still very healthy. So if the battle had raged on, it would have been a big player. And over at the Forces of Tzeentch, we of course had Village just being a monster, the Exalted Hero, Abuna doing well. We had Kairos have a little bit of a problem, but the Blue Scribes, hey, 1,400 value ain't bad. And Outer Regions, Changeling was a big carry for him. That thing did a big amount of damage. And for DJ, his big monster unfortunately met the pretty brutal end, but his Chaos Lord did well. The one thing that was missing from the Tzeentchian forces that probably would have won them the game, in my opinion, was Mass Screamers. Because we had, a fair amount of cavalry with my Griffin Legion. The Bretonnian Hippogriff Knights kind of rampaged and did whatever they want. And also the Screamers would have been good against the Moonbird as well as Tzeentch. So I think if these guys had brought like maybe 4 or 5, 3 Screamers each, there was only one among all their armies. I think that we would have been in big trouble. But it was a great match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that showcase. And if you want to see more thematic battles like this that have a competitive element to them as well, like where there's a theme, but players are also trying hard like this, let me know. We'll certainly incorporate them. Now, hopefully you enjoyed that quick break from the old sweaty tournament. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading on to the 3rd place match as well as the grand finals. So hopefully you enjoy it and prepare for some super sweaty Warhammer, my friends.